Hi guys, hello, welcome to today's video. We're doing something a little different today. This past weekend I went to a couple of estate sales and I got some really cool stuff, so I wanted to show it to you. If you're a thrifter slash a vintage antique enthusiast and you've never been to an estate sale, I highly recommend. They're literally so fun. I've seen some of the coolest houses going to estate sales, but also it's just kind of like fun to like snoop through people's things. Also, they do tend to be a lot cheaper than like anywhere else, and if you've never been to one and kind of like don't know where to start, I highly recommend using estatesales.net. This video is not sponsored by them, I wish, but that is just like literally a website that I use every single week. Like literally every single Thursday I am on their website and I'm looking at all of the estate sales within like a 2-hour radius that are happening that weekend. And what's really cool about looking at estate sales online before you actually go is you can get an idea of kind of like what they have. And I actually managed to find something that has been on my like vintage bucket list for so freaking long, and I am dying inside. Like I still, every time I look at it, I'm like, I cannot believe this is real. So without further ado, let's jump into our adventure that we went on this past weekend. So the very first estate sale that we did go to was the one that I found my bucket list item from, but we're gonna go ahead and talk about that one last because I am a save the best for last type of person. So we're gonna actually skip past that one for now, circle back to it later, and actually talk about our second estate sale first. This one was definitely a little bit of a flop, kind of a spoiler. I had a really good time still like looking through everything, but we definitely did not spend a whole lot of time here because immediately everything was so expensive, and it wasn't even in like a super nice house, which typically like the nicer the house, the nicer the area, the more expensive things tend to be. This was a very normal area with very normal house, and the prices were pretty expensive. Definitely more expensive than I personally would like to spend on anything, especially from an estate sale. There was a filing cabinet in like this very dungeony looking basement area, and I was actually considering getting that. It was $12, and I do feel like that was a pretty good deal for that filing cabinet, and I am actually kind of like on the lookout for some sort of like shelving unit or filing cabinet or something like that for my office. But then again, like I said, we went upstairs and everything was so expensive, and this is definitely like a negative trait of mine, but like because everything else was so expensive, and I feel like unjustifiably so, it made me not want to buy anything. You know what I mean? Like the filing cabinet I feel like actually was a pretty decent deal, but like because everything else was crazy, I'm just like, I'm leaving. But also too, I do have like a weird thing where like I hate buying just like one thing. Like if I'm at a store, like say I'm at TJ Maxx or something, and I find like a shirt that I like, I just can't buy like one shirt because it just feels like a waste of time to like sit in line for one thing. And that also kind of came into play with this estate sale. Like there just wasn't anything else that I wanted because again, there were things that I wanted, but they were just too expensive. So yeah, so this one was kind of a bust, which was unfortunate, but it was in an area that we've never really been to before. And there was apparently like one street that had a ton of different like antique stores. This one that we went to was literally the biggest antique store I have ever seen in my life. Halfway through the building, I was like, oh yeah, we're still in the same place. Like it felt like 2 or 3 separate antique stores all clumped into one. And yeah, it just went on forever and ever. I literally, if I was by myself, I would have probably got lost at some point. It was humongous, and we spent a very long time in there. That being said, the prices of this place were pretty expensive as well. Again, we did also start in the basement of this place. It was kind of cool and creepy at the same time because it was just a huge giant room with just like collections of like a ton of stuff. Like there was a corner with a ton of bikes. There was a corner with like a ton of golf clubs, a corner with a ton of just like vintage cans, which was really cool to like look at, but like nothing I actually would want to buy necessarily personally. And yeah, and like I said, the prices were kind of expensive because they had some old crusty dusty like peppers and olives and stuff in oil. Like I feel like they were like really popular in the 90s. They wanted like $18 to $20 plus. So that kind of being the introduction to this place, I definitely did not have high expectations for like the rest of the place. But we did find a couple of things, which I'll show you in a minute. But like also this place was really cool because the whole like front half of it, or like the first, I don't know, maybe third, I don't know, a big chunk of it was basically kind of like a museum almost. Like it did have obviously things for sale, but it was kind of set up in a way where, first of all, the prices were insanely expensive. So some of this stuff I don't think that they ever actually expect to sell because it just is insane. But also some of the stuff wasn't for sale. Like there was a car from like 1908 or something like that, I think it said, which was just on display. I'm pretty sure you could not purchase that. It was just there. And that kind of stuff is really fun. Even if obviously you're not gonna buy it, it's cool to see. So that was really fun to kind of like walk through. But again, I was very much in like a purchasing mood. I wanted to buy some vintage, and the prices for like the rest of the place weren't as expensive as the first half of it, but like they were still pretty high, so I didn't end up getting too much. And actually it was kind of funny. There was actually a couple of items that we came across that I already own and I got for way cheaper, which is always really, really fun to see. But like, yeah, for example, there was like these lamps that were being sold for like $250. I have the same one in a different color. We got it for $25. If you want like antique home decor and things like that, I highly recommend kind of like diversifying where you go. Like check out different estate sales, check out different thrift stores, check out different antique stores. And I did actually manage to find a couple of really cool things at this gigantic antique store. First and foremost, I got this gigantic brass candlestick. I've been thrifting and antique shopping pretty regularly for the past few years, and brass candlesticks, or just like brass things in general, are getting harder and harder to find, and they are some of my favorite things to thrift. So whenever I find something like this, I have to get it. So yeah, so here's kind of what she looks like. She is lovely, she is large, and I'm very, very excited. I have no idea where I'm gonna put this, but I never know where I'm gonna put anything that I get. We'll figure it out at some point. Oh, also, actually, where's my phone? I absolutely love the hunt of like going and finding a really cool antique thing and getting a good deal on it. But I also really love coming home and finding out how good of a deal I got, and also some information like how old it is and yada, yada, yada. So I thought I would look up that information for you guys as well to kind of see what we found. And for this particular brass candlestick, ChatGPT said it was from the 1960s to the 1970s, which is definitely the decade that I feel like I apparently gravitate toward the most, because that is pretty much everything that I get comes from that era. And I purchased this for $16, and the estimated resale value that ChatGPT gave me was $20 to $60. And then the only other thing that I got for myself from this gigantic antique store was a set of glasses. I'm gonna only unwrap 2 of them, but I got 4 in total. I got 2 of these bigger ones and then 2 of these smaller ones, and I do have like pieces of like, I think it's like newspaper or something that's like stuck to them, so they definitely need to be cleaned, obviously. But I thought these were really, really cool looking, and they are actually very different from what I typically get when it comes to glassware. I definitely have a type, because I literally have 3 sets of glasses, and then also some like mixing bowls, like glass mixing bowls that are all the same shade of like this purpley brown kind of color, and I absolutely love that. But my style, I feel like, is kind of changing a little bit. I've started to kind of really like what I call a cool girl aesthetic, and I'm gonna do my best to kind of like try to mix the two together. And I feel like these are kind of like a good mix of this, because it has like the shape and kind of style of the vintage that I typically get, but it's like a bright color that kind of reminds me of that cool girl aesthetic. Originally they were priced at $10 for the set, but the booth was having a sale for 20% off, so I got these for $8 freaking dollars. Brass is a weakness of mine, but like glassware is also a weakness. I have way too much, and I kind of try to avoid looking even at glassware sets because I already have too many. But anyway, I also got a couple of other things, but I got those for my sister for her birthday, and just in case she watches this video, I don't want to ruin the surprise of it. So that's everything that I got basically from that first place. Now let's go ahead and circle back to our first estate sale, and this is where I got the majority of our haul. Whoever owned these things previously, I feel like had to have been such like a fun person, and it's like one of those times where I like wish I could have met the person. Like I just feel like she had to have been a good time. You know what I mean? Like there was so many cool things in this house and so many unique things. Looking at the pictures online, again, I had this like bucket list item that I wanted to get, and I kind of figured even if it was too expensive and I couldn't end up getting it, I still just wanted to like browse through these things because it just looked like such a fun house and such fun stuff. Also, actually, another thing to mention before we like jump into the stuff is I did go on the 3rd day out of 4 for this estate sale, so everything was 50% off, which I love going to estate sales on sale days, but it is one of those things that like if you are going hoping to get like one particular item from a picture, there's a good chance you might not get it because it's, you know, days into the estate sale, and also you're going on a sale day. If you're not there the second it opens, you might not get it. And I never am there the second they open because it's the weekend. I'm not going to set an alarm. We're just going to like wake up naturally and go and just cross our fingers and hope for the best. Anyway, that being said, everything was 50% off. So our first item I got for a freaking $1. This is basically like a little Christmas decor item. It's a silver reindeer. Obviously you put the candle here, and I just thought this was really cute. I don't actually know the information on this, and it is probably pretty modern. It's giving me kind of like 90s vibes, so I don't think this was like super old, but I just thought it was really cute. And again, $1, so how could I not, you know? Next up, I got a clothing item, and it is this like really cool blazer jacket type thing, and this was in with like a bunch of stuff that was for $10, so it would have been $5 on sale, but she wrote down $2 on the ticket and I was not about to correct her, so I got this for $2 freaking dollars. As you can see, I cannot resist a brightly colored, funky, vintage jacket blazer type number. Every time I see them, I'm like, I have to have that. I don't even know if it fits me, but I have to have it because even if it's too big, too small, I'll turn it into something that I can wear. I'll make it work. And as of right now, I still have not tried this on, so I don't know if it fits, but like, I love this color palette. It's one of my favorites. Like, I love these kind of like jewel tones. And it actually did come with not 1, but 2 turtlenecks as well that are within the same color palette as this. So obviously I'm assuming the person that used to wear this wore it like this, or with the kind of like maroon one underneath. I will most likely not be doing that because I have extreme claustrophobia and turtlenecks just give me anxiety. They make me feel like I'm dying. Here's kind of like a close-up of the pattern and the colors. So there's that, $2. I'm obsessed. I also ended up getting this like honey yellow glass candlestick, which does perfectly match our little glassware set, which is kind of funny. Totally not intentional, and typically I do not gravitate towards this yellow color, but I do think it is kind of like that cool girl aesthetic that's kind of like creeping in, that's making me kind of like start gravitating towards bolder and different colors. But also the thing that like totally sold me on this particular candlestick is the animal elements to this. So in this middle piece right here, I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see it, but it's basically like a little serpent kind of like wrapped around the middle, which I thought was so cool. And then the base here has these little feet that are in the shape of, I think they're fish or something. And I just love that. And it also said it was potentially Italian inspired because apparently during that era, Mediterranean fantasy decor was very popular. And again, I got this one for $7, but the resale value is $30 to $80. So I got quite the deal on this little guy, and I'm very excited. And we only have 2 items left, one of which is the chair that I have been sitting in this entire time. Here she is. This particular estate sale had like the checkout table on the outside of the house, like on the driveway basically. And this chair was basically like right next to that table. So I did not know that we were gonna get it until literally we were about to pay. Like we walked up to the table and I looked over and I was like, oh, that's a really cool chair. And then I looked at the price freaking tag, $40, AKA again, 50% off. So I got this for $20. And it's basically like a wood and wicker chair with this really pretty like pink velvet upholstery. I am so obsessed with this, I can't even tell you. That being said, this was not even our bucket list item, and that thing has also been in the frame this entire time, and I'm sure, especially at this point, you know exactly what it is. It's this freaking fringe lamp. I cannot express to you how happy I am that I have this. I have literally been on the hunt for one of these for the longest time. And I have actually seen a couple over the years, but they're always insanely expensive slash basically destroyed. Specifically the lampshade, which is like the whole point of me wanting one of these kind of lamps. Like the fringe is kind of like really ratty, and the shade itself is like ripped and stained and just like not in a good condition whatsoever. So that being said, those ones were probably like true Victorian era fringe lamps, and this one is definitely not that vintage. It's not from the Victorian era, which I think is like the original era that these kind of like came from, like the design of them, but it did kind of like come around a little bit later, like trends always do. And this one in particular, ChatGPT did estimate this one to be most likely from the 1950s. Specifically, it gave me a date range of late 1940s to early 1960s, but it said again most likely 1950s. So the fact that this is from the 50s makes me extremely happy. I don't need one from the Victorian era. I just wanted an actual vintage one just in general. And I have to say, from this being from the 50s, this was taken care of so well. Like the lampshade does have a couple of stains on it, like small ones, but like the fringe looks so nice still. Let me give you like a little bit of a closer look at the lampshade. It does have a very subtle kind of like florally type pattern. There's a specific name for this type of pattern, but I can't think of what it is right now. But it's got like a little bit of a floral pattern on it. And again, this fringe is immaculate. Like it looks so good. It does honestly smell a little bit like Old Lady, but I'll spray some perfume on her, let her air out a little bit, and she'll be good as new. And originally she was $100, which honestly, before we left, I was kind of in my head thinking like I would probably pay up to $100 for this because again, it's been a bucket list item for so long. But again, it was a 50% off day. So I got it for 50 freaking bucks, which is crazy to me. And with this lamp and this matching chair, I now have a direction for my living room. I mentioned, I think at the beginning of the year, that I was gonna be like slowly redecorating my entire house, and I haven't really gotten much progress done since then because I don't have the budget to just like redo everything at once. So I've been kind of like slowly doing little things here and there. But as far as the living room goes, I had literally no direction whatsoever. I know I'm gonna like repaint it, but like aside from that, I didn't have any idea what I was gonna do. Our living room has literally been like a disaster zone for like 2 months now at least. And I'm excited to finally like have somewhere to go with it. But anyway, that is everything that I got at the estate sales that I went to this past weekend. Let me know if you like this kind of content and I'll definitely do it more often. Thrifting and antiquing is definitely like my second biggest hobby. Like I think reading I do the most of, but like antiquing and thrifting I do almost just as much. Like I'm out almost every single weekend. I don't always buy things, but like I definitely go because I just think it's really fun to like pick through old stuff. So anyway, that is everything that I have for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you have had the most amazing of days, and I will hopefully see you in my next one. Bye.